All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm your host for today's broadcast, Insanely Air 13, as we are about to get underway here for Race 5 of FEC's Summer Indycar Series. Qualifying was very interesting, to say the least. Outsider in the form of Roken GTR has shown up and has taken the pole position by over 0.6 of a second here around Road America. But before we get too deep into anything, let's go ahead and look over the championship standings as they are right now. 24th in points is... One second, I need to adjust the screen just a bit. 24th in points is Design with 14 points. 23rd is Slasher with 17 points. 22nd is Benders with 19. 21st is Thunder with 28. There's a tie for 19th between Naito and Flackbus. They both have 30 points each. 18th is SDR Dremora with 31. 17th is Larry B. the G with 40. 16th is Panther with 44. 15th is King with 46. There's a tie for 13 between Scored and NFL. They both have 51 points each. Then you have 12th, which is Kuroshine with 57. 11th is Packer with 60. Yeah, I was looking at that right. 10th in points is Meteor with 73 points. 9th is Claiming Racer with 86. 8th is CGK Thomas with 87. 7th is Panda with 94. 6th is Jack Broseph with 96, which puts him to a tie for 5th, along with Nismo. 4th is Amish Gaming. He has 111 points. 3rd is Dino Prime 77 with 115. 2nd is Prius Killer, who is at 124 points, and leading the championship is Maybe Racing with 154 points. Despite running himself out of field in the last lap at Indy last week, Maybe has continued to open their points lead over their closest title rival, Dino Prime 77, and while Prius Killer did move up into second in points, he is not running in today's race, so almost guaranteed that Maybe is going to be able to lock up a gigantic championship lead, as Maybe is qualifying second in today's event. Dino is qualifying in the bottom half of today's event. So Drivers' Championship is likely going to be locked, well, not mathematically locked up, but realistically locked up. If Maybe leaves today's race with 50 points in the bag over second place, he will be in a position that he can afford to miss a race later in the season and still walk off with the championship. In Teams Championship, things are closer, but not by much. Ace Racing Team has 30 points, Genesis Magma has 44, Damage Inc. has 48, Two Door Racing has 87 points, Raycon GGA has 94, Fredrickson Racing Enterprises 182 points, GGA Esports has 195, Hyperion has 239 points, and P1 Speedworks has 266. In the Manufacturers Championship, Ford continues to lead. They have 111 points, but Buick did close the gap down a little bit. They are at 73 points right now. Third is Dodge with 67. Honda has 49. Porsche has 35. Toyota has 18. Lotus has 16. Bentley has 12. Hyundai has 5. And Cadillac has 3. And that gives you a look at what the current point standings are across these 3 different championships. We're trying to get a little bit ahead of the ad breaks here, so I'm going to try and knock one of those out, and when we come back, I'll give you a rundown as to what the starting grid will be looking like in today's event. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to Road America. Real quickly, let's go ahead and look at the drivers that will be taking part in today's event. As I already said, Roken GTR is going to be staying on the pole in that blue Mazda machine. NFL Racer 4812 is back. His best qualifying start of the season. He has got a third best car. Down Prime 77, who is third in points coming in this race, likely to move up into second as the actual second points driver is not showing up today. Then you have Pendaz, the series host, in his green, yellow, and black Raycon machine. Jack Broseph is back in his red, blue, and gray Blissing machine. Amish Gaming has returned as well. Amish is actually silently putting together a respectable season, but it's mostly off the back of just attending the majority of the races. Naito Gamer 05 is in his gray, red, and white USAF car. Neesmorphed is back in that purple highlighted American flag machine. A lot of drivers carrying over the 4th of July celebrating paint schemes over the last 2 weeks into this event today. Heen Racing Leo was the slowest qualifier today. He has qualified about 7 seconds off of pole time, so he's going to have to hope that he figures something out across today's race. Maybe Racing is your second highest qualifier for today. Scored Buffalo missed qualifying, so he's going to be starting near the back of the grid. Tony Monkey 123 is going to be right here with us as well. So will Kuroshine and Thomas 086R. So we are looking at roughly a 14-car grid in today's race, as we are still standing by waiting for them to get underway with the race proper here. But we are, like I said, we are looking at roughly a 14-car grid in today's event. I'm doing like a series of last minute checks, but I can't really seem to find anything of major significance here before we get underway. I'll run down the exact starting order once they load onto the circuit here. But other than that, it seems like I may have started the broadcast a little early again. They say they're starting now, but I don't think they are because they don't have the race link set up properly. Alright, here we are now. Looks like they're getting us underway here. So we'll see them get the grid ordered up very shortly here. Going to be a relatively short race. Event's only going to be about 28 racing laps. You'll have a really long pace lap, so do be aware of that. Per usual, the big thing throughout the majority of the season with these cars is that these cars go significantly faster on low fuel loads. Road America is going to make that a little bit tight, though, because this track is so massive, you don't want to accidentally run yourself out of fuel. You could completely derail your event. Well, it wasn't Indycar. Yesterday, I got the pleasure of covering all 6 hours of SEC's GT mini Enduro here. And in that scenario, they had drivers who would run out of fuel basically going through the last few corners, or realize they're going to run out of fuel and hemorrhage multiple seconds in the lap before pitting. So do be aware of that. You do not want to run yourself out of fuel here. If anything, it would probably be better to go a little bit slower and maintain a good position on track. Okay, so here we are. Now we're going to see them start lighting everything up. taking a little longer than anticipated. Feel a little bit bigger than I think most of the drivers were anticipating for one of the road course races here. Most of the rest of the season is going to be ran on road courses, although there are 2 more oval events later in the year to look forward to. Alright, here we are, loading onto the circuit proper now. And we'll give you a rundown of the entire grid, because this is going to be a very, very long pace lap. I knew it. I knew that was going to happen. It happens every time. I saw that coming. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Road America. Unsurprisingly, there was a technical hiccup immediately before they got underway here. Apparently, Shine was having issues with their game and trying to get it properly working. We most definitely saw them on track and their car peeled off right away, but don't know exactly what their issue was. But they're going to try and set this up and get going again. Alright, here we are. Time to do this attempt number 2 now. And it looks like the game has just flipped everyone's starting position this time. That's hilarious. It really has. It has flipped everyone's starting position exactly. Alright, well, take number 2 as they load onto the circuit for the second attempt here at Road America. So with the fuel tank looking to last about 20 laps, and tires lasting about 18 to 20 laps, we're anticipating that this will be a very simple single-stop event, like most of the other road course races in this series have been. All right, so starting on the pole is this driver here in the number 7 Mazda. It is Rokin, followed by Maybe Racing in their Ford. Then is NFL Racer in the best start of his season thus far. He is going to be starting 3rd. Following that will be Thomas in his Bentley number 8 machine. Amish Gaming, who is 4th in points coming into the day. He is going to be starting 5th. Then the series host, Pindaz, starting in 6th position. Jack Brosuf is going to be starting in 7th. He's had a handful of decent race runs that have been derailed by either missing qualifying or early accidents, but now he is starting moderately high up in the field compared to normal. I'm curious to see if he can keep his nose clean, how far he can move. Down at Prime 77, who is realistically your only other championship contender, he needs something bad to happen to Maybe, and he needs it to happen quickly in this race if he wants any shot at closing the championship fight down. Knees Morphed is going to be starting in 9th position in that white, pink, and purple machine. 10th place will be Naito Gamer 05. Following that will be Kuro Shine, that very nice looking Cadillac machine. I don't normally like the Cadillac colors on many racing cars. I think they look kind of gaudy, but honestly, Kuro Shine's really made that thing pop. King Racing Leo, who was about 7 seconds off of qualifying pace, he will be starting 12th, and then the 2 drivers who missed qualifying. Scored Buffalo. Scored is looking to play spoiler like he normally does in a IFEA or E-Racing United or FEC series event. He's going to miss qualifying like he normally does and then go from the back to the front to try and win the race, starting near the back of the grid. I think it would be a bad idea to bet against him. Although Rokin might put a fight up against him, Buffalo more than likely is going to take home the win in today's race, assuming he doesn't get involved in an incident. And then rounding out the back of the field will be Tony Monkey 123. I believe it is his first start this season. And that is the entire grid for today's event. And we'll see them double up, likely when they get to the final corner here. They won't go until they're most of the way uphill. Get ready, because this is going to be interesting. Road America, while there's not exactly a lot of craziness when it comes to strategy, if drivers want to push their luck and try to go super fast, running really low fuel loads here, they may run the risk of running themselves out of gas. In addition, with this being such a gigantic racetrack, there are a lot of areas that you can make or at least attempt overtakes here, and that's just on merit. That has nothing to do with drivers potentially making mistakes. They actually chose to double up much earlier than I anticipated. They're going to have to make sure that they don't have any mistakes as they come down here through Canada Corner. Alright, looks like the field's able to keep it mostly nice and clean. Alright, 7 rows of cars. There are fast drivers up at the front and way in the back. This could end up being really hairy here at this circuit, one of America's most classic racing circuits, over 4 miles per lap, and we are looking at nearly 120 miles of racing today. As they come uphill, we'll hear them accelerate. Rokin versus Maybe Racing. Who's gonna get it as they go under the bridge? And we are underway here at Road America. There is nothing to it. Immediately, Rokin pulls away from Maybe Racing in a straight line, puts his car ahead. The front row immediately disposes of the rest of the field here. This is NFL Racer a little bit farther back in 3rd, trying to keep Amish Gaming and Thomas 086R behind. Those two are stuck in a side-by-side battle for 4th right now, but the Bentley is trapped on the outside. He has a big twitch coming out of the corner, and already the top 2 are running away from the rest of the field. Farther back, Scored Buffalo has already made his way up into the 10th position now. We're right on board with Scored Buffalo as they go into turn 5 for the first time. Big overtaking zone. Naito gets to the side of Pindaz, leaves the room open. He's going to go right around the outside of Pindaz and go by Dino. He goes right to the back of Pindaz. Now he sees Naito pull up alongside, neck and neck for just a moment, but Buffalo's already up in the 8th position. Like I said, it would be bad ideas to try and bet against Scored Buffalo winning a race. This is what he always does in this series. He always misses qualifying to start in the back just so he can give himself a challenge to run his way up through the field. At the head of the field, Maybe Racing has gotten ahead of Rokin, and they have opened up about a 9-10 second gap over NFL Racer. Then it's Amish, Thomas, Jack Broseph, and Pindaz here. Feels a little bit tighter together here in the midfield right now. And already, everyone from about 11th on back has completely fallen off the back of the field, it would appear, and Kuro Shine has had something going completely wrong. They are way off pace. No damage to the car, but they don't seem to be able to keep it on track very easily. We'll keep an eye on that as this continues to develop. Meanwhile, farther up, NFL Racer is now starting to close in on Rokin as Maybe is vanishing into the distance. Scored Buffalo seems to have stalled out in about the 8th position on track, although as I say that, he gets alongside Pindaz, completes the overtake, and just blocks Pindaz from getting a good run onto the straightaway. Now, Pindaz will have the draft on Scored Buffalo, but Buffalo has his own draft on Jack Broseph, so it's not likely that Pindaz will be able to do anything. If anything, Scored Buffalo is going to go for a huge dive on Broseph and try to get him beat on the run out here. Could not pull alongside, going uphill through turn 6. Oh, and he's into the dirt. And every lap and every corner that Scored Buffalo spins stuck here in the back of the field makes it more and more likely that will be a Maybe Racing victory. And again, Maybe Racing will be our first 2-time winner this season. He has had 3 finishes in the podium positions thus far. A win here, and that would be 4 podiums in the first 4 races of the year, would basically all but give him the championship lead. And Buffalo has a gigantic moment, goes way off circuit, and will fall back to 9th. Very uncharacteristic, but could Buffalo be a little weaker in these cars than we were anticipating? As he had a big understeer moment, a bit of a twitch, and went off. He falls to 9th right now. Meanwhile, Maybe Racing has ran away, so has Rokin and NFL Racer. The fight is from 4th to 9th, and now Buffalo pulls up to the inside of Dino. He's got a draft off of Pindaz ahead. We'll use that to defeat Dino and get by the number 77 before they even get into turn number 1. And around the outside, he makes the overtake look like Pindaz was standing still almost. And now we see Dino tries to come to the inside of Pindaz, and he will complete the overtake on Pindaz before they even get out of turn 3. And now Buffalo already pulling up alongside Amish Gaming. Despite going off, he's not having any issue dispatching the midfield, but Maybe Racing, Rokin, and NFL Racer are all about 4 seconds ahead of Buffalo right now. Once Buffalo hits clean air, he needs to absolutely light the tires up and just go for qualifying laps. Qualifying laps that he almost never sets in these races. Downhill, this is a potential overtaking zone, but you have to be really confident on the brakes. Buffalo is not trying to do anything crazy like that. Amish still follows Buffalo. Dino's made his way up into 8th, but with Maybe leading the race and Dino in 8th, Maybe is setting himself up to all but realistically lock up the championship, even if he starts missing races in the series. Buffalo a lot more reserved going through the kink this time, but in the process is actually opened up to attack from Amish. Is Amish going to go for a big dive into Canada corner? Not quite. They all stay nose to tail from 4th to 9th this time. They all start to fan out a little bit on acceleration out. Everyone from about 10th on back is all spread apart on track. And the top, oh, and they're off! And that's Jack Broseph who's gone off! Contact, and Broseph goes off, and he's not the only one. That is Thomas, who goes off as well. I don't think there's any damage to any of their cars. No, it looks like they should be able to continue. But in the process, Scored Buffalo has now gotten by everyone he needed to, and he is in clean air. This also works out well enough for Dino. He moves up into the 5th position, but again, his title rival is leading the race, and Dino has not been able to dispose of Amish yet. tries to cross him over on exit, but both of these drivers compromise their run significantly. Oh, and NFL has gotten by Roken, apparently, on the run down into turn 5. Realistically, it's turn 3, but it's technically called turn 5. I don't get it either. Maybe Racing has opened up a 4-second gap on the rest of the field, NFL and Roken. Oh, and Roken has engine damage. Well, that would explain a lot. He has 6.8% engine damage at this stage of the race. NFL Racer, no damage whatsoever. And Maybe Racing, your current leader, by over 4.5 seconds. There is nothing that is going to stop him with the way he is going unless Scored Buffalo can close down. He has about 24 laps to try and catch Maybe Racing. He has to close down by about 8 seconds. You do the math. If he can close down by about a third of a second a lap every lap, he will catch Maybe at the very end of this race. Fight for 5th continues. Dino holding station over Amish. It looks like Dino has moved up into 5th position, but it does seem like this is about the best that he's going to be able to do. The real wild card now is just going to be how many more positions can Buffalo gain as this goes on. Roken is doing his best staying in NFL Racers draft. It's crazy because this man won the pole by over 6/10, but almost from the word go, he just started hemorrhaging time to Maybe an NFL, and now with engine damage as well, already he is only about 1.4 seconds ahead of Scored Buffalo, so Buffalo is likely going to catch Roken probably in the very next lap, if not the very end of this lap. And that will also be said that NFL Racer will end up being caught by Buffalo as well in such a scenario. Starting to pull away from Amish Gaming. Amish has Pindas still running behind him. Jack Grossuff and Tony Monkey are still on top of each other. Interestingly enough, Thomas and Naito Gamer have found each other still after going off earlier. They're still basically right on top of each other. But Grossuff, I said earlier, well, he finally had a decent qualifying. Can he put the race together? Well, it ended up getting held up by other people's mistakes, and now he's stuck in the midfield. And with how spread out everyone is, I just don't know if he's going to be able to make very many more positions. Big thing with the Indycars in this game is that the soft tires burn up at about the same rate that it takes to go through a full fuel load, so there's really no chance to get on alternate strategies in this race here. Right on board Scored Buffalo as he barrels down on NFL Racer and Roken GTR. Maybe is now 9 seconds ahead of Scored Buffalo. So Buffalo, while he is running down second and third, Maybe is just pulling away from the rest of the field. Second, third, and fourth come up underneath the Corvette bridge. Oh, big slide there by Roken. Buffalo is there. He's putting pressure on that blue Mazda. And while these two are dealing with this, NFL Racer tries to scoot away a little bit. Now Buffalo begins to try and barrel down on NFL Racer. Roken is still in his draft, but with the engine damage that Roken has, it's unlikely he'll be able to fight back. These drivers are about 6.5, almost 7 seconds ahead of 5th place Dino right now, so you're not really at risk of losing positions. Cluster of cars here, 10th, 11th, 12th, all on top of each other. Thomas trying to pull away from Niesmorph, who is fighting with Naito right now. Niesmorf is going to hold a wider line, so Naito trying to go into a deep inside line. He goes deep under braking and slides, putting the power down. Niesmorf went incredibly wide, and he gets turned, and Naito gets turned by Niesmorf. Boy, is he turned, and he goes all the way deep into the dirt. No damage, but Naito is going to be absolutely livid and fuming at what happened there. All right, so Rokin's still hanging out in Buffalo's draft right now. And now Buffalo, tucked up behind NFL Racer. Oh, and NFL's off! Self-inflicted, and NFL is way off circuit, deep into the dirt. He finally gets going again, but is going to fall to a very distant fourth. Might even fall into the clutches of Dino here. And he was running second, and it was completely self-inflicted mistake. And the good run that NFL was putting together derailed with that. But now, this means that all the pressure is gone from Scored Buffalo. He has 21 laps to try and run down a maybe. But maybe has opened the gap a little bit on Scored, so Scored has to close by something a little closer, about 0.4 a second a lap on lap, without fail, in order to catch maybe here. It doesn't look like Dino is able to directly fight with NFL. NFL is already starting to open the gap back on the number 77. Real quickly, let's look at the fuel numbers for our top 5 runners right now. 52% for Maybe Racing. For Scored Buffalo, he is at 53%, so very similar numbers between them. Rokin has the engine damage, so he's at 54. NFL Racer, he is at 48, so he's actually running a lower fuel load than the drivers ahead. Dino Prime, who is in 5th, is running with 51. So everyone in the top 5 are on very similar numbers. Also, Keen Racing Leo is the first driver to go a lap down in this event. And Rokin has started to close back in on Scored Buffalo, it seems. I said that, but then he has these big switches and big slides and hemorrhages large chunks of time in the process. Pindaz running a little bit behind Amish Gaming. These are for the 6th and 7th positions on the racetrack. The field's nice and spread out now, and it looks like it's just going to come down to pace. And overall, it seems like Maybe Racing, while he did not get the pole, he has led every lap today. And while Scored Buffalo started next to last after skipping qualifying like he normally does, it seems like Maybe is just outright faster than him. Maybe that's the advantage of practice and running actual qualifying, but Maybe is maintaining, if not slightly extending, his lead over Scored Buffalo right now. Continue to watch Amish trying to keep Pindaz behind. Jack Broseph is another 6 seconds behind them. Everyone from about 8th on back seems to have fallen into a position that they will stick in for the rest of this race, I imagine. The gaps are really opened up across the majority of the grid now, especially in the back half. It's still a little bit up to play for some of the spots in the top 7. Big thing is that Rokin has engine damage, so he is losing time lap on lap now, but once he inevitably makes his pit stop, because everyone's going to have to make one pit stop in this race. Once he makes his pit stop, we could see him lose more time in the pits, but then start going way faster with a properly repaired engine here. Right on board Dino, that's NFL Racer just ahead. And the frustrating thing is you can see another driver ahead, but just can't do anything to catch him. NFL is just that much better here. Fight continuing, though, for 6th and 7th. This is probably the most active battle for position on track right now. Amish Gaming has it. Pindaz, the series host, wants it. Amish is currently 4th in overall points. And with Prius, who won last week's race at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, with him missing today's event, there is a very high likelihood we could see Amish, with this result, climb even with or slightly over Prius Killer. They'll need to keep Pindaz behind if he wants to pull that off. A lot of frustration over the season for Amish. I've not helped by constantly confusing him with Claiming Racer, and I do apologize for doing that. But he has had a silently strong season, mostly off the back of just showing up to races consistently. All right. Pindaz has gotten right under the rear wing of Amish now. Real quickly, just look at the fuel and tire wear. Amish, 31%, 42 left in the tank. Pindaz, 39 left in the tank, 34%. So Pindaz has a lighter fuel load. And again, the big thing with the Indy cars in this game, the lighter the fuel load is, the faster you will go. These cars are probably the most sensitive out of all the cars in this game when it comes to fuel numbers. You can be on cooked tires and make some tremendous laps. And Pindaz is really using that to try and push a fight on Amish right now. Big slide by Pindaz! And he hits the inside wall! Is the car damaged? No, there's no damage from that. But a big twitch going over the inside curb through the kink. And he slaps the inside wall, but it was a relatively flush hit, so there's no damage to the car. He will be able to continue here. Kuroshine has gone off and will go a lap down in the process. The gap between first and second seems to have stalled out in this range from about 7.8 seconds to about 9 seconds. Buffalo and Maybe are just setting lap times that are pretty much equal to each other right now, and we've not really seen either of them be able to do anything to really upend that. And now, with Pindaz and Amish having multiple seconds between them, there are really no more fights left on the racetrack. There is a bit of a stalking battle between NFL Racer and Dino Prime, but other than that, every other fight on this racetrack is basically resolved. Everyone seems to be in their own race, not really running with anyone else around them. So what we're going to do is we're going to ride for a flying lap on board with Ford Buffalo so you get an idea what a master driver looks like pushing one of these Indy cars here around the Road America circuit. that's a full flying lap here around Road America. We are about halfway through the event, and the question now is who's going to be the first driver to jump into the pits, and will they, if they go ahead and pit early, will they be able to get a significant overcut? Realistically, with the fuel tank lasting almost 20 laps here, a lot of these drivers could have pitted a few laps earlier, but everyone seems to be willing to push off their final stop a little bit. But if anyone chooses to pit early, it could alter the outcome of the race a little bit, because if they complete their pit stop, and then a yellow flag happens, drivers who have already made their pit will cycle up to the head of the field here. Laps left here when they come to the line. Maybe is continuing to open the gap on Scored Buffalo, completely in a zone of their own, a zip code of their own, could open this gap up to 10 seconds over the rest of the field here. And it's not like Buffalo has a damaged car or anything that's slowing him down. Maybe has simply been his better. Buffalo needs some sort of yellow flag to bunch the field up so he can try and properly take the fight to maybe. Oh, and it looks like, well, they're a lap down, but Kuroshine is going to go ahead and make their pit now. The track is so big that I don't think Kuroshine is at any serious risk of going a second lap down, so paying early might help them out a little bit if they can get a lap back. If we get a yellow, but that's the other thing, the field is so spread out now, I think it's looking very unlikely that we will see a yellow flag in the event. No one is really fighting with each other. As long as you don't go off and total your car and get stuck on the racing line with a dead engine, I imagine we're going to stay green to the end of this race. This driver here, Knees Morphed, is about to go a lap down to Maybe Racing. Will be the next driver to go a lap down to Maybe Racing. He still has about an entire sector. But the way it is going, Knees Morphed will find himself going a lap down, like in the last few moments of the race. Jack Broseph has just about caught Pindaz here. So Pindaz, who was right on top with Amish, fighting with them, then had his big slide coming out of the kink. Now he has slipped back into the grass with Jack Broseph here. If Broseph has anything he can try and do to Pindaz, try to clip another position here. Pindaz defends the extreme inside. Don't really know why he did that. Goes over the curves. You can tell these drivers are really struggling with how hypersensitive these cars are going over the curve. Again, no one's pitting still. The pit window is very wide open here. And there we are, 4th place NFL racer will be the first driver of all of our lead lap drivers to go ahead and make a stop. Technically, Knees Morphed did as well, but it's NFL racers who are pit earlier than everyone else here, and Pindaz is going to... No! Pindaz tried to snooker Jack Broseph, make Jack think that he was going to pit, but no! So it is a proper fight here. Broseph is going to go to the outside of Pindaz, about neck and neck, going into turn number 1, and around the outside, Broseph makes it look like Pindaz is standing still. Cuts back down to take the air off of Pindaz before they get into the braking zone here, and now onto the next straightaway. So Pindaz will have the draft off of Jack Broseph here. And with the way that Pindaz is losing time, I have to wonder, has he damaged his engine? Well, there is a little bit of engine damage, but not enough to cause this. Now I see Thomas pitting, Tony Monkey pitting, and Naito Gamer pitting as well. So a lot of drivers are finally electing to stop now with about 14 laps left in the event. So the question is, how many people are going to go long? Because if you go really long and there ends up being a yellow flag, you could end up being behind a lot of drivers on the run to the end here. But if you do go long, you will be on fresh tires to the end. Oh, and Broseph just slides off under braking, and Pindaz goes back by. And Maybe Racing, your race leader, has pitted. He had almost gotten a 10-second lead over Scored Buffalo, but he'll come into the pit stops now. And also Scored Buffalo will join him in pit lane. So our top two stop at the exact same time. Broken GTR is going to join them. So we know that Broken GTR is going to go a little bit faster. Oh, and Pindaz into the dirt coming out Canada corner, and he will lose the position to Jack Broseph again. Dino pits along with the leader, so does Amish Gaming. What about this duo? Jack Broseph is going to come in, but Pindaz will stay out. So Pindaz is electing to stay on track for a little bit longer, and he's going to leapfrog everyone except Maybe Racing, and will briefly go as high as second on track. But Pindaz will have to still pit at some point in the event. Everyone now, except Pindaz, has made their stops. Oh, there's your idea of the stop. Scored Buffalo has picked up 10 spots over the course of the race. More overtakes than anyone else. More than double what the next best driver, Pindaz, has. And even then, Pindaz is only there in second right now because of pit stop strategy. That number will change once he finally does make his stop. Niesmorph is actually still a lap down, all things considered. I thought maybe Niesmorph was going to be able to get a lap back, but no, he is still a lap down. It will be Naito Gamer who might bear risk of going a lap down, but I think he'll be fine. It'll be a little tight, but I do think he'll be fine here. Gap between Maybe and Scored Buffalo after pit stops is about 9.1 seconds and continues to very slowly expand in the favor of Maybe. Amish trying to dispose of traffic here. It looks like he's going to be by Niesmorph now. And now Nito has gone off. Something has gone wrong with Nito. The car is destroyed. He still has a functioning engine, but he has hit some wall with incredible force and has destroyed the car. And he's just trying to limp it back to the pits. Also, Pindaz has finally made his stop. So he'll cycle back to where we anticipate he would be about the 7th position now. Big thing is, between Pindaz and Jack Broseph, they were right on top of each other. Where are they going to be in relation to each other after Pindaz completes his stop? Also, by virtue of pitting a little bit later, Pindaz will have slightly fresher tires to the end of the race against Broseph. But again, the big thing hasn't been tire life for these series for these cars. It has all been about the fuel load. Pindaz accelerating up now. And here comes Jack Broseph. He's going to come around the outside. Pindaz doesn't have his tires at the tip yet. And Broseph clears Pindaz. Well, no, he does not. He's not completely all the way past. They're side by side still. As they come onto the back straightaway here, we still can't see anything. There we are. And it's Naito who has left. So Pindaz ends up behind Jack Broseph, but not by much. So it seems like the fight between overcut and undercut really isn't that big, at least between these two. It may be different for other drivers. Also, Scored Buffalo finally starting to take a little bit of time out of Maybe Racing's lead. It has gone back to being less than 7.5 seconds. But when you only have about 12 laps left, Buffalo needs to close on Maybe Racing by over 2 seconds a lap to the end here. He's only got 77% in the fuel tank. Maybe Racing has 86, so Maybe has a much heavier fuel load than what Scored Buffalo does. And I have to wonder if that was causing this. Is Scored Buffalo running with a lighter fuel load? Is that why he is suddenly gaining all this time? And someone has had an instant there coming out of Canada corner, and that is Kuroshine. no damage. They will be able to continue. But a bad day goes worse for Kuroshine. This also means that Neesmorph will probably very easily hold 11th spot on track here. Sport Buffalo's now gotten the gap down to less than 7 seconds. Buffalo seems to be really fast right now on the newer tires, and he has a slightly lighter fuel load as well. Could he make something of this? Pretty much every other fight on track has just about ended, but Amish Gaming is starting to run back down on Dino up ahead. The gap is about not quite 3 seconds, so we'll keep an eye on that. A little bit more interesting fight is this one here. Jack Grossuff and Pindaz continue their little spat. That is a lap car ahead of them. I believe that is Neesmorphed. No, that is Keen Racing Leo who is ahead of them, actually. And Grossuff will clear him. In fact, it looks like Racing Leo pulled off of the racing line to let the duo get by. He does not want to try and hold them up. Looks like Grossuff is actually pulling away from Pindaz now in cleaner air. And the gap at the front seems to have stabilized now at 6 seconds. It has been green and caution-free all day long today. As they come racing back up the front straightaway hill. Gap between 7th and 8th, about 2 seconds. Well, a little bit less than 2 seconds. But Grossuff has the draft and is closing it back down. Alright, so Grossuff now closing in on Neesmorph, and will try and use the draft of Neesmorph to get away from Pindaz. He wants to put Neesmorph behind him by the time they go through Sector 2. Sector 2 is a lot tighter, and it would really hurt Pindaz. But it looks like Neesmorph is going to maintain station. Yeah, this fight seems to be basically over here. So, of our 14 starters, 13 of them are still running, 10 of them still running on the lead lap right now. We have had some incidents, but no yellow flags in today's race, as we are closing down to just 8 laps left in today's affair. Sport Buffalo closed the gap down from about 9.5 seconds to about 6 seconds, but he needs to be closing by almost an entire second a lap right now if he wants a shot at maybe, and I just am not sure that's going to happen. Jack goes for a giant dive on Neesmorph to try and get by lap traffic, and all he does is just kind of hurt himself in the process. But he has been pulling from Pindaz, so I don't think it's going to hurt too much. Broken has engine damage already, it seems, but it's nothing like the engine damage he had earlier. He's maintained a gap of about 5 seconds over NFL Racer, who qualified 3rd, is running 4th. I believe this would be his best run of the season for him. Dino Prime is 5th, but with maybe leading this race, it looks like Dino's hopes for the championship are basically going to shut down unless maybe he starts missing multiple races across the remaining 5 weeks here. Also, with the Buick team's best runner being Dino, and maybe being the best entrant by the Ford team, this also pretty much opens up the teams and the manufacturers championship massively as well. So all 3 title fights might be, while not mathematically decided here, realistically they may be considered done with at the end of this race. Buffalo has closed the gap down to a little less than 5.5 seconds, but time is running out. We're going to go ahead and knock out an ad break, and when we come back, we'll be with this race to the end here to see if anyone can make any last-minute Hail Mary moves for position here at... Oh, and someone's had an accident coming out of the kink. That is Pindaz. And that car is destroyed. Is that going to be a yellow flag? Maybe is not slowing down. So it is not a yellow flag. And Pindaz's shot at finishing the top half of the field, it's done for. We're going to take an ad break. We'll be back shortly here at Road America. Oh, and maybe! No! Oh my goodness! Is this really happened? He's not damaged. There's no damage. Oh my goodness, Maybe Racing, just as we went to commercial, and Maybe Racing spins and crashes out of the race lead. And all of a sudden, Scored Buffalo goes to the top. Now, the good news for Maybe is that he had such a massive gap over the rest of the field, it's not like he's going to fall to any worse than second. But what drama! No damage, so he'll be able to keep going. But a very unexpected development here. He's still 11 seconds ahead of Rokin. And about 17 seconds, honestly, ahead of NFL Racer, and his championship rival Dino is still nearly half a minute behind. So maybe it's still going to add to his points leads. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back. We want to welcome you back here to Road America. Your eyes are not playing tricks on you. Scored Buffalo has gone into the lead. And it was not a overtake on merit. Maybe had a gigantic twitch going through the kink. Just as we went away, he spun about 3 times. And while he made light contact with the wall, he didn't damage himself, but he lost about 12 seconds in the process. And that was all it took for Scored Buffalo to go into the lead of this race. That also means that unless something problematic happens to this driver, Tony Monkey will bring home a lead lap finish. So good job on Monkey's part as well. But Scored Buffalo is about to complete, well, it's not a true last to first challenge. It might as well have been a last to first challenge. He needed a little bit of luck though, and that's exactly what he got. Six laps to go right now. Remember, Scored Buffalo did win the season opening race way back at the Sunset Peninsula Roval. Now there, he did actually legitimately qualify in that event and ran up near the front, but it was a prolonged fight that he had with Claiming Racer and Maybe Racing for most of the day. This has been a complete different scenario. And honestly, right now, Maybe is in the opposite position he was earlier. Maybe was actually polling on Scored earlier, but now Maybe is losing time to Scored right now. But again, Maybe doesn't have to push for anything crazy. Second place is still fine. He can still add significantly to his championship total. He's got to be thanking his lucky stars that he did not total the car in that accident. Because if he damaged and totaled the car, that could have really opened up the championship fight in a way that he would not have wanted it to happen. every spot on the track has already been decided, it seems. It's just a matter of, can you keep the car under you? One other thing regarding Scored Buffalo, does he have the fuel to make it to the end? With about 40% in the tank as he goes across the line, I imagine that yes, he'll have the fuel to make it to the end. I think everyone played it really safe with fuel. They didn't want to run the risk of running out here. Rokin's a little bit tighter, though. Rokin's only got 30% left in the tank. 5, 6, 7. He's got 5 laps left, but if you're only using about 6%, or less than 6%, he'll still be fine to the end of this. So for those of you who have missed, we've not had any yellow flags today, but we have had quite a few incidents. We saw Thomas and Niesmorft get into it a bit. Jack Grossoff had some close moments, but didn't really have any incidents. Pindaz had a self-inflicted accident going through the kink. We've seen Kuroshine have a few big offs. Maybe Racing, who's led the most laps today after starting second and led pretty much the entire first 23 laps of this race, had a spin going through the kink and fell back to second. So we've had plenty of incidents across the day today, but we also had a moment between Niesmorft and Naito where the two of them got together, and there will definitely be some angry words about that later, although Naito has since withdrawn from the event. But between pace and incidents, everyone is completely spread out, and it's just a matter of hit your numbers and run it to the end here. Looking at Rokin here. He's at about 24% in the tank as he goes across the line. So yeah, Rokin's cutting his fuel numbers a little close, but all he has to do is just a little bit of lift and coast, and he'll come home third. He does not... I don't think he has to worry too much. It'll just be a small lift and coast. He's not like he has anything close to the pace of our top two, which is really interesting. I've said this several times. Rokin in qualifying took pole position by 0.6 over Maybe Racing. I'm guessing Maybe had a really bad qualifying, but for Rokin to go from being that fast in qualifying to being, while he is going to come home podium, a very distant third in the race, that's not something you see very often. Gap between first and second has now opened up to 10 seconds. Well, briefly was 10 seconds there. As we look at Scored Buffalo, doesn't have to push, doesn't have to do anything crazy here. Just needs to keep hitting his numbers and he will be perfectly fine. Still not 100% sure if Rokin will have the fuel to make it to the end. Oh, a bit of a twitch going over the kink, but, well, I think he should be fine. He's going to be close, but even if he runs out, he should have enough momentum to carry himself up the hill and finish. And he has nearly 10 seconds over NFL Racer. He has 20 seconds over Dino. Rokin would basically have to run out, basically in the kink. Coming uphill here. Yeah, he's short, but he's not going to be so short that he's going to lose positions, considering he still has 8 seconds. Now, granted, NFL is starting to close down as Rokin is starting to damage his engine as well as this is going on. But again, the gap is so big, and if Rokin damages his engine enough, he'll actually reduce his fuel consumption, and he'll still make it without issue. But the gap between all of the top 5 drivers is all about 8 to 10 seconds, 8 to 12 seconds amongst all of them right now. And then Amish is still another 6 seconds off of Dino. And then Jack Broseph is another 6 seconds off of him. Then you get Thomas, who is nearly a half minute off of Jack Broseph. And then Tony Monkey is over a quarter a second off. And honestly, the way that Tony Monkey has been losing pace as this is going on, I said earlier, it looked like he was going to come home on the lead lap. I'm not 100% sure that's going to be the case now. If he has an instant or a twitch, it's going to be lights out for him. Still, our main focus is on this driver. He has the gap. He can lift and coast. He can save fuel. But is he going to? He wants to have 12% in the tank, roughly, or a little more as he comes across the line. He's going to run out, but at the rate that he is running out, he'll run out coming out of the final corner, and he should have enough momentum to coast it up the hill. And NFL's not really closing on him, so it's not like anything's really gonna change here, I imagine. Gap between first and second has now opened up to 14 seconds. In fact, maybe is actually losing time now to Roken. There's no evidence that he's damaged to the car. But maybe is now dropping significant time here late. Fuel is not an issue for this driver. Tires should not be an issue either. We're not sure why he has suddenly lost all of his pace. Maybe he's just trying to nurse the car home, make sure he doesn't have any big moments, so he's deliberately going slower just to not push the car over a limit here. But yeah, gap between second and third is now down to 8 seconds. Thing is, again, Roken's big thing is that we don't think he has the fuel to comfortably make it to the end. He should have enough momentum to still finish in third, but I don't think he has the fuel to do anything to try and catch maybe. Not unless maybe he has another big incident, a big spin or something. As scored, Buffalo comes across the line. White flag. This is the last. He has started the last lap of the event here. Gap between second and third continues to drop, but we're more interested on if Roken will have the fuel. He'll make it. He's going to run out of fuel coming out of the final corner, but Roken should be able to make it and come home third here. But boy, is he playing it really close. Dino is also starting to close in on NFL Racer, but the gaps are just so big, it's all a matter of too little, too late here. Also, Tony Monkey almost about to be caught by scored Buffalo. I think he'll make it. I think, as long as he doesn't have a mistake, I think he can still pull off a lead lap finish here. Oh, wow. Big slide by Monkey coming out of the kink. But at the head of the field, it is scored Buffalo. Started basically in last position, missed qualifying, missed the start of the race. Fought his way all the way up into second, but looked like it was all over for him. He could not catch Maybe. But then a self-inflicted spin by Maybe and a little bit of luck by scored Buffalo. And he's going to lead the last several laps. He fires it out of the final corner, and the number 31 Indycar will rush up the hill and will take his second victory of the season here at Road America. Maybe Racing should very easily take home second and add to his points lead. The question is this man here, Roken, will he have the fuel to make it to the line comfortably? He powers out, and he's out of fuel. But look at this, he still has enough momentum, so he will still easily come home in third. Fourth place will be NFL Racer. Dropped a lot of time in the last few laps, probably trying to save fuel himself, but he'll make it. And Dino Prime, he's still mathematically in the championship hunt, but even when his rival has an accident, he's just not close enough to capitalize. He should move back into second in the standings, though, with the 5th place finish here. And then Amish Gaming will likely move into 3rd in the points with his 6th place finish here. And Jack Brosov finishes roughly where he started his day. And Thomas, 086, despite being involved in an incident early, he was fast enough to stay on the lead lap, and he should be able to bring it down to a 8th place finish. And it will be Tony Monkey who will round out the field, last of the lead lap drivers. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and knock out an ad break. And when we come back, we'll try to get some interviews done with our top finishers in today's race. Don't go away. We'll be right back here at Road America. Excuse me. Can you guys hear me? Alright, go ahead and include your audio in the Xbox party if you can. I don't know if Roken will join us or not, but I can at least get these interviews knocked out. Yeah. Well, that's fine. You're not required to come in and talk or anything like that. It's just something nice to do. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you back here to Road America. Our event is over, and a driver doing what was basically a last to first challenge like he always does in these E-Racing United or IFEA or FEC races. It's Scored Buffalo who goes from next to last to the win. Buffalo, include your audio. What do you have to say about your run out there today?
You can hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay,
did you
good.
include your audio in the party?
Yeah, I did. Okay.
Okay, yeah, go ahead then.
I wasn't really expecting a win here, but something happened to maybe, of course. I feel like most of the first half of the race was me trying to learn the new tune, because I didn't drive Grand Theft, so this is my first time touching the new tune. So I was trying to figure out how to drive it, and then I think once pit stops got around, I could just really start focusing on trying to catch maybe, and the gap didn't really shrink any until he had a little incident coming out of the kink, and after that I just kept it on the track.
All right. 2 wins in what I believe is only 2 starts that you've had thus far this season. How many more starts are you going to make? Because it seems like you're really good at playing spoiler in these races.
I'll for sure try to make at least like the rest of the road course races, but for the oval stuff, I'm pretty much, you can pretty much guarantee me out, so yeah.
All right, seems like we have our own Mike Conway here. But in any case, Buffalo, congratulations on what's basically a last to first win. Quite a legendary drive you put together out there, mate.
Thank you.
All right, now I want to talk with our second place finisher, Maybe Racing. Maybe led lap 1, led laps 1 through 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, kept leading all the way until about lap 22. And then disaster, but you still will add to the lead in your Drivers' Championship for the teams and the manufacturers. What do you have to say about your run out there today, maybe?
I couldn't ask for much more, really. It was about as good as it could go. Unfortunately, at the end, it just got ran off the track by a lap car trying to give the position, and he decided the best way to do that was to just stop on the racing line. Unfortunate happening that, but from there it just unfolded. For whatever reason, I can't figure out the second run on the race. I cannot keep the same pace as the first run, but either way, our Ford Performance ran well. Indycar had a fantastic pace again, and it ran well. Didn't ask for much more, really. Fortunate at the end.
All right, we're halfway through the season right now, maybe. There are still 5 more races. I'm going to be honest, I think with this result here, you should have enough of a points lead. You could probably afford to miss races later in the season and still walk off with this championship here. You are putting together a ridiculously consistent drive this season. How in the world are you doing it?
The biggest thing I've always worked on is consistency. Had a few mistakes more than I would like here, but still came home second. Things happen. Hopefully, keeps going well and bring it home at the end.
All right, and that's the word from Maybe Racing, your championship leader. Came home second in a crazy but still solid result day. And now I want to talk with our 4th place finisher, NFL racer. NFL, go ahead and include your audio. Qualified up front, finished close to the front, but you had that big off in the midsection midway through the race, and then just seemed to be by yourself after that. Was there anything else that happened today that I might have missed? Please give us some kind of story.
Yeah, I wish I had something for you, but that's more or less a summary of it. Yeah, it was just Rokan had a unfortunate engine damage thing, I believe it was at the beginning. I was taking advantage of that, and I thought I was gonna walk away with a podium. I know Sword was probably gonna catch me regardless, but then car just snap oversteered on Exodus. Didn't drive the car any different at all from the entire race, and it was just that one time it just decided, nah, traction's an option. But overall, I'm pretty happy with the result.
All right, fantastic drive here. I believe this is your best finish and your best result of the season. Just been a rough year for you. Going forward, do you think you can continue forward positive momentum, or do you think it's just a matter of this track really clicks with you?
It's hard to say just because of work schedule on what my availability is for races on Sundays. So I'd like to show up for more of these races, and I think I'm pretty decent at multiple tracks. Road America holds a special place in my heart, though, as a track I've visited IRL and being my Forza home track. So I'd like to think maybe a little bit of both in this scenario, but I don't know. We'll have to see.
All right, and that's the word from NFL Racer. We want to try and reach out to Roken here. Roken, are you able to hear me? Nope, it seems like he is not able to hear. Okay. Oh, wait. Is it going to work now? Roken, can you hear me? Hello. Can you include your audio in the party? Yeah, in the Xbox party, there will be a box that will say include audio. Fair enough. Well, I'll try and interview you anyway. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Roken, you qualified pole in your first start in the season and came home podium in your first start as well. Incredible drive out there. What was that race like for you? All right. Are we going to see you again in future races? All right. Thanks for jumping in and talking with us, Roken, after a fantastic debut here in the FEC IndyCar Series. And with that in mind, that will pretty much wrap up our broadcast here at Road America. The FEC IndyCar season is halfway over. We still have 2 more oval races and 3 more road course races across the next 5 weeks. And I should be here to cover all the remaining events. But until next time, I've been your host for today's broadcast in St. Leonard 13. Thank you very much for joining us. Farewell and goodbye, everyone.